Welcome in everybody to Fantasy Pros MLB. It's time to look ahead to the waiver wire. It's me, Joey P. Joe Pisapia. With me, of course, is the Welsh. And Welsh, let's start today with a guy that we brought up actually a couple weeks ago who was really low rostered. And guess what? He's still hovering around 35%. It's Addison Barger of the Toronto Blue Jays. He qualifies at third base and outfield in many leagues. And he's been on quite the tear. He has basically produced a 325, 385, 639 slash with 8 doubles, 6 homers, 14 runs, 16 RBI in 91 plate appearances. Now, Jimenez is returned for the Blue Jays, but is Barger still a guy worth spending on to get on your roster? Because I am kind of shocked that the roster percentage was still so low on him.
Yeah, I think like you got to speculate because the profile's been so good. We've had this question comes up like once a week where it's just like, is Barger for real? It's like the profile says there's some massive reality to this. It's still a well above average barrel percentage. He's barreling up about 14% of the time, almost 15% with a 55% hard hit rate. Those two things create amazing results sometimes. He's got an expected batting average that is over 300 right now. So that's 30 points higher than he's hitting. And he's got a low K percentage, 20%, 6% low where he was last year. Now, what could happen is he could be put in some type of platoon because, you know, he has played a lot better against righties versus lefties, but the hitting profile looks fantastic. He's coming off of hitting just south of 300 last month. He's getting some playing time right now. He's pulling the ball in the air. Like everything looks really good. This looks like the type of guy that's going to be able to put up a 20 home run season if given the opportunity. And I think he's too valuable to move off of. So I don't think the spin has to be too crazy. He is still available in a lot of leagues, and he just needs to be picked up at a speculation that he can continue being on this roster with this team. And this team might be looking at trades in the near future that are going to continue playing time for him for the future, for the rest of the season. So yeah, I'm very much into Addison Barger.
Yeah, especially in deeper leagues, he should be rostered. And I gave you those stats. That was over his last 91 at-bats. So that's the beginning of May. Basically, the last 30 days have been brilliant for him. So we'll see with the Jimenez return how that shakes out, like Welsh said. But still feels like a guy at least to speculate on who could have some value. And you never know. Injuries can strike at any moment. Just ask Brandon Woodruff. Continuing on, Matt Wallner of the Minnesota Twins, 41% rostered. He's gone 3 for 11 with a home run since his return. And he was also crushing the ball on his rehab assignment too. So Wallner, a guy, once again, we're talking about a player who might not see everyday at-bats, but he's on the correct side of that platoon, being the left-handed bat. Hits at the top of the order sometimes in the leadoff spot. The Twins have struggled sometimes for offense. You see Royce Lewis can't buy a hit recently. But I look at Wallner as another one of these dudes that for outfield depth, as we're getting closer to the summer months here where more injuries are going to happen inevitably, having depth in the outfield, especially in those 5 outfielder leagues, is crucial. And I think Wallner's a guy worth picking up. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think he's kind of like the Twins' Ben Rice. The profile is through the roof.
That's a good way of putting it.
It's no shock, by the way, when we talk about guys that are really like, because I know I personally talk about like hard hit and barrel and stuff a lot. It could maybe even be eye rolly or something. But like, guess what? Guys that are really performing well, you tend to see a correlation to that, especially home run hitters. 17% barrel, 53% hard hit rate. And that tracks over the last 3 years. What's the difference? Expected batting average is 20 to 30 points higher than it was in previous years. So it supports a better batting average. He walks like 12% of the time, hits the ball crazy hard, average 92 with a 113 max EV, and that's lower than it was last year. And sometimes they put him on the leadoff spot. So I actually think Matt Wallner is a super, super sneaky one. 5th outfield type of guy, 15 team, maybe even potential 12 team. Like battling like him or Parker Meadows, who just came back, might be tough. But if the average sticks in the 250 range, Matt Wallner is going to be tough to not be a pretty good fantasy asset. And I just think the hitting profile just screams as somebody that you want to try to invest in. Again, 10-team league, both of these guys we talked about, probably not quite what you're looking for, but I think 12-team and up, you should be looking at both Barger and Matt Wallner. And I might prioritize Wallner a tiny bit over Barger, frankly, just because Wallner's not going anywhere anytime soon.
That's a good point. I think I would tend to agree with that. Let's talk about 2 guys who qualify at shortstop. May or may not be playing that position when they get to the big leagues. One of them already got there, actually. Cole Young, who got there last weekend with the call-up. He's rostered in 20% of leagues, shortstop, who's going to play some second base here for the Seattle Mariners. And Ryan Ritter, who is a guy that we mentioned on prospecting with the Welsh. He's just 3% rostered on CBS. But if you're looking at what he's doing right now, you talk about forcing an issue. I know he plays shortstop. Tovar's had some injury issues. 16 homers, 45 RBI, hitting 307 this year over just under 200 at bats as of recording this. So these are guys right now, one up already, one might be up at some point as the Rockies, I would assume, continue to get a look over the year of some of the assets that they have. So Welsh, let's talk about Young. Let's talk about Ritter, two young shortstop prospects who are looking to potentially make an impact in 2025.
I think Cole Young is a deep league guy at this point. It's 15 team plus. He's kind of showing off some of the worries you might have. He doesn't have like the power projection is a little bit minimal. He's striking out more than you would want. He's not having like a good early success, but the guy does generally make a lot of good contact. You're going to hope he can tap into a little bit more hard hit stuff, but Cole is a deep league play if he's able to keep this job for the rest of the season. Hitting environment doesn't speak super well, but if he starts to hit, he's going to be a 3 category player at worst. But I don't think it's much more than a 15. Ryan Ritter's super interesting because he's like number 2 in AAA homers on the entire season during the minor leagues. He's kind of optimized. I use the word optimized, where hard hit barrel stuff isn't like huge, but he's got a really good launch angle. He's taking a really good point of the ball and he's just crushing them out. PCA, not Pete Armstrong, the PCL in AAA is a very hitter friendly environment. Colorado's a very hitter friendly environment. So I think Ryan Ritter is like a really good bet. Service time manipulation should be kind of coming to a close here. I don't know if Colorado's looking to set any clocks or anything like that. They can barely pull any wins together, but Ryan Ritter is definitely someone we are going to see here shortly. And I would actually probably speculate on him. If Ritter was up today versus Cole Young, I would prioritize Ritter over Cole Young right now for a little bit more impactful stats.
All right, let's get to some of the pitchers before we do. Don't forget, if you're looking to make some moves on the wire, use the waiver assistant. Right now, struggling with waiver wire decisions? Well, don't in your fantasy baseball league. The waiver wire assistant is here to help you. Just sync your leagues for free, and you'll receive personalized waiver suggestions over at FantasyPros MLB. Quickly see which available players will improve your team and by how much by downloading the Fantasy Baseball My Playbook app or visit fantasypros.com/MLB My Playbook. Get an edge on the waiver wire today with the waiver assistant. Let's go to the bullpen to start this one. Robert Garcia of Texas, 28% rostered. Luke Jackson has not been lights out in the closer role. Garcia has 3 saves on the year. He's also got 23 strikeouts, just 8 walks. He's got a 1 whip, a 2.25 ERA. If you're in a deeper league, is Garcia somebody worth stashing for potential saves as the season draws on?
Yeah, and more importantly, 2 of those 3 saves have come in 2 of the last 3 games that he's pitched. And you had like a 2-day break between saves, and Luke Jackson has been, just like you said, a little bit dicey the whole year. Doesn't seem trustworthy. Seems like the Rangers, as they're trying to pull for the division, would maybe go make a move. But finding a guy like Garcia who can show them consistency and also show some of that K upside. He's had 2 strikeout games in his last 2 outings as well. 25% K percentage. Walks are ticking down a little bit. I kind of see him as I saw Emilio Pagan early in the year when we didn't know what was going on. And it's like, you should speculate. I don't know if it'll hold, but then Emilio Pagan did. So like Garcia has a decent chance to hold this through. And this is a team, if they're going to start making a run, you're going to be stacking wins and stacking opportunities. So I don't see why you wouldn't speculate in the save market on Robert Garcia.
I don't know why people aren't listening to us about Ryan Yarbrough, because we put him on the list last week and he went out there and he beat the Dodgers. And now he's still just 38% rostered. I mean, by the end of the week, with all the pitching injuries between Lopez and Burns and Hunter Green, I imagine this roster percentage is going to be something like 75. But that's on all of you who did not pay attention. If you listened and you stashed him already, good on you. I don't know when he's going to turn into a pumpkin. None of us do. But until that happens, he's 3-0 in his 5 starts. He is 40 strikeouts, just 30 hits and 41 innings, 11 walks. He's got a sub-1 whip, a sub-3 ERA. Welsh, why? I mean, what's going on? I get it. It's Ryan Yarbrough. It's not a sexy pickup, but whatever's working for him right now, and he's pitching on the Yankees, for God's sake, the win equity is there. I am shocked that he's still under 50% rostered.
Yeah, I would have thought of the successes of recent might have pushed him up a little bit. There's definitely a falling knife syndrome with him. Like, you don't want to catch him on the way down, but you're also missing out on these really good starts. He's not a hard thrower, which I think, pushes people back. He's also just not a name for a lot of people. The cutter is really interesting. Every year there's kind of like a pitch or two that becomes the thing. Throwing cutters more as like a primary pitch has become a thing this year. We're seeing Garrett Crochet do it more, and that's what he's doing. 24% of the time he's throwing a cutter, and it's not that it's getting, big strikeout numbers. No, it's setting up low batting average and low hard hit numbers, only a 3% barrel against right now. He's getting those strikeouts off the sweep or changeup, and he's changing the visual of the plate by throwing sinkers and cutters and just moving through. So, it's the pitch mix that's really worked. The low contact numbers feel like there's some sustainability. Expected ERA is under 3. I'm even still a little bit dicey about it, but guess what? I picked him up and I used some of those starts in. And the Dodger one definitely should have been like hey, let's go make the move and see if this is happening. Similar to Sandy Alcantara has just been blah this whole year. And I know it was Colorado, but he just had a Colorado start. There's plenty of you that are playing in leagues where Sandy's available. Just go pick him up to see if things have changed. He made a pitch mix change in that game where he lowered his changeup usage a bunch. What if he carries that over? And what if that kind of vaults him moving forward? I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment, but I also don't want to miss out on good opportunities. Sandy could be in there, but more importantly, Yarbrough has just rattled off some of these really good starts and might be the next reliever into a starter that we should pay attention to.
Yeah, and look, you're going to get a second start from Alcantara, so if you're on weekly waivers, then you'll know by the end of the week if you want to pick him up or not. If he has that second good start, it's probably going to cost you a lot more. People are going to be running back to that waiver wire to pick him up. Let's talk about one that's not for the faint of heart. It's Edward Cabrera of the Miami Marlins, 31% rostered. Now, I know this is a guy that our friend Lance Brzezowski was in on in the beginning of the season, and it did not look right in April, 7.23 ERA. But ever since, he's gotten that ERA all the way down to 4.14. We know he's got strikeout potential. The last 2 starts, 11 1/3 scoreless innings, 15 strikeouts, just 5 walks. So there's a good trend going forward here with Cabrera. Strikeouts never been the issue. Control sometimes has been. So what do you think of Cabrera and this recent turnaround that you've seen? Do you want to invest in it in free agency?
I think it's worthwhile in the streamy, maybe hold on market. The team context is kind of bad. But another interesting thing you see, though, with the Marlins, you see guys backing off of their changeups. Edward Cabrera, I think, had worked with Sandy. We know Yuri had done the same thing. But Cabrera threw his changeup 33% of the time last year. It's down to 25%. So he cut the usage pretty decently. And he's throwing more sliders. And he's actually down-ticked his four seam quite a bit. But slider usage has come up. And the sinker usage has come up a ton. And I think that sinker is what's helping him out. The higher batting averages on at least the sinker, that kind of equates to not big impactful stuff. And that slider has really helped him out. And if he keeps throwing that slider and he keeps getting those Ks, he's like a high 3, low 4 ERA guy. Win potential's kind of But what you're hoping is the walks, which he has lowered by around 2%. If those keep down, then he's like a ratios guy. He doesn't destroy your whip. He gets the strikeouts. Bad teams, he's going to, maybe 8, 9 strikeouts. So he looks kind of like a decent streamy type of pitcher right now.
All right, another streamy kind of guy. Hunter Dobbins is going to go into the rotation for the Red Sox. He's less than 10% rostered. Again, this is a deeper league thing. If you're just looking for a live arm, he's going to get an opportunity to be a starter now that Richard Fitz got sent back down to the minor league. So what's your outlook on Dobbins?
Yeah, he had some good stuff early on, too. He had first 2 starts, 5, 2 earned runs, 5 strikeouts, went 6, gave up 1 earned run, 6 strikeouts. He had a couple kind of blow-up-y type of games that were out there, but I think he kind of sits in that streaming world. I don't think he's a guy to hold on to for long, but it's low walk numbers. It's around 5%. Strikeout numbers are also kind of low, though. That's just under 20%, so that's not necessarily ideal. But he does have an expected ERA that is under 4. He's going to get some starts. And if Boston finally wants to start winning games, and not losing games by 1 and vying for this division, Dobbins might be one of those sneaky guys that walks into some extra wins. But I still think he's in that streaming market. I think he's a good spot starter. Watch for 2 starts if the matchups are not against the Yankees and stuff like that. I'm cautiously optimistic, but we gotta see how long term him in the rotation. If that whip is 1.33, you don't want those walks to start to pick up, and with low strikeouts. If high walks with low strikeouts, those are guys that I'm just not interested in. But he's not quite there yet.
Strange about the Red Sox too. They have 34 losses, 17 losses this year on 1-run games, right? If they had just won half of those instead, they would be a game out of first place right now in the East, just for perspective of just sometimes baseball can be a fickle mistress sometimes. But we love to hear from you. Drop your comments below. Who are you picking up this week on the waiver wire? And when you drop your comments and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Fantasy Pros MLB, you might win yourself a Cecil Fielder autographed jersey from pristineauction.com. So go ahead and do that. And when you subscribe, don't forget to ring the bell till it goes ding for notifications so you never miss a moment of fantasy baseball goodness here on our channel. That'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on. For the Welsh, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.